Hello and welcome, Rahul. You're watching me on my YouTube channel for talks. So if you're watching me consistently, welcome back to my channel. See, whenever I come in front of you, I have a purpose. I want to instill positivity and talk something valuable so that whenever you are applying your time in scrolling up and down and going through a lot of reels, you would find me and you will find it helpful because we want to foster a reality where everybody should have equal opportunities, and knowledge to implement that way knowledge so that they can clinch the opportunity because everywhere there is a mad scramble. If you talk about money, then everyone is competing to each other, and that is what is the reality. So if you really want to make a better livelihood, you have to be competent, you have to be someone who can have better skills, who can have better understanding and knowledge so that they can implement their knowledge and can clinch and can pull off things in their favor. That is why we are here and we talk about something special. So today I'm going to talk about internal synchronization because in my previous video I have talked about business, how to start a business and how to get fund for your own business from angel investors and beyond that, venture capitalists and everything, how you can raise your business from nothing to something special, from scratch to multi-crore rupees of valuation, even enlisting, public enlisting. I have talked about that, but every time if I will be talking something, which relates to only one topic, it will become monotonous. So I rather try to bring eclectic experience and I try to bring sometimes metaphysical reality which are really important if you really want to find synchronicity in your life, which can really be more productive because it is easier to understand how we can align our perspective for better development. It is not too much complicated, and if you make it complicated, it would become because your perceptions shape the reality, and that is why it starts from your conceptualization, from your whatever you conceive, whatever you make conception about that. So you try to create first of all a mental sketch, an architect, in your mind. Because if you will not be an architect, if you will not create an architecture of what you want to achieve, then it would be not easier for you to contemplate where you want to go. That's why every person, whenever you will go in an interview, they ask you, where do you want to see yourself after 5 years? So all these plannings, you have to make yourself a plan in your mind, and it starts from inner alignment. If you have inner alignment, if you have better visibility and your vision is intact, then only you'll be able to see the future forward, what is unfolding around, and all the awakened people, why they are so much wary, why they are so much awakened, and why they take every steps, measured, so that they will have to be someone who cannot fall to their enemies. When the ball will come to them, they will be able to strike it and throw it in opposite directions. Otherwise, if it will fall forward on your face, then it will change the shapes of your reality. That's why everyone is awakened in this field. And some pappus are not even aware what is going on. They are scratching the surfaces and they are still having much more ego to boast about their own legacy. But the problem is that legacy have been forged from ancient time. And those legacies are still vibrating and echoing in every dimension. That is what is the legacy of a humankind, of a soul here. If you will be able to build your legacy perfectly, it will echo through millennia. It will not be satiated that you think of that your physical reality is for a century, maybe less than that. 70 or 80 years is life expected length here in our country, 70 to 80 years, whereas in Japan it could go to 95 to 105 and 110. That is what we witness. So up to a century average if you'll take, especially with Japan, then we can say roughly that only a century is your physical legacy. But the problem is that in these 100 years, in these 90 years, you can execute and can carry the weight, spiritual weight forward, so that your legacy can echo through millennia. Your soul is fighting in every dimension that you won't even witness in physical reality. But the weight that you carry, the burden that you carry, the exhaustion that you go through, that is what defines your actual standard in spiritual world. Whatever you carry forward, whatever light you carry and anchor here, that remains for millennia. everything changes when one invention happens, or the fog that creates, darkness around. If that fog would be omitted by your personality, by your anchoring, by bringing light, many inventions and unfolding will happen that you won't even imagine how beautiful the world would change with that direction. So that are the milestones of your soul. That is what will be recognized after 100 years, after 200 years, if you create that kind of legacy. So you know beyond bafflement of egos, that boast you forward to speak all these things which are nonsense. Rather contemplate whom you are talking about and what your opposition knows about, because they have real input. They track down and they try to encounter everything coming against them. So they are awakened, they know exactly what are the weight. And if you are scratching surface of being a puppu, you won't be able to realize exactly what you are losing. So we were with you, but nowadays I think that we are also going through embarrassment. So it should never happen. Rather, whatever we are fighting and we are going through, you should become a support to that, not a hindrances and not any impediment in that very way, because we have been through a lot of pain and a lot of rigorous work. Then we have crafted this beautiful arena. That is what we want. And we also want to see the change, in our country, so that better development could happen, because many draconian law has come, that is taking, the slip of people. They are sleepless, they are patienceless, they are in flickering and capricious mood all the time because of these draconian laws. So we want to abort this, abort these policies and policy makers. So if you support us, then our way forward will be easier. Otherwise, scratching surface and giving such kind of a statement will only prove that you are always incompetent, and that is why you never came in power. So we don't want to be so much negative with you. Rather, mend your ways and to try to understand exactly how the warriors are fighting in this hard and difficult situation. So you have to understand and weigh what are the weight around, because everywhere, if you'll see from abroad, from international players, they are also making such a statement in online arena to change your perception. They have already changed the perception of many agencies even, and agencies are going in wrong directions. But still there are some foundations which have anchored a beautiful concept, and they are always developing, they are always searching, they are always behind such legacy, and they have a hope. We have a hope. Don't try to uproot that. Don't try to be a poppo in that chaos, which we try to make it beautiful place. Thank you for listening to me.